What's up, everyone? Mike and I are back with a little different of an episode this week. We usually do our mock drafts, our rookie dynasty mock drafts every week, but this time we're going to be breaking down some receiver film. We've got four guys that we have. We picked two each. I picked Ricky Pearsall and Jermaine Burton, two of my favorites. And Mike picked Javon Baker and Lad McConkey. And I'm excited to get into some film.
Yeah, we wanted to change it up because essentially the draft is 7 days from now, and 7 days and 20. Well, we're right on the dot of when it would start, essentially. So nothing really dynasty sense wise is going to change between now and then, unless like a big trade happens or something that could possibly happen, but we can't predict that. So we wanted to change things up a bit.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're going to start with Ricky Pearsall. And I've got some clips loaded up. So first, though, I guess I'll just kind of give some general thoughts about him. So I have him right now as my wide receiver 6 in a tier with four guys that goes from wide receiver 6 to wide receiver 9. And he's just a really, really smart player who just knows how to get open, beats man coverage really well, understands zone coverage, just like understands his offense. Like it just, you can tell he just understands how things are supposed to work. And really like a really good athlete. I think people were surprised at how well he did in the combine. I think if you watch his tape, you wouldn't be so surprised. The athleticism shows up on tape. He's got some fantastic highlight plays. And he's just a really solid player, I think, with a good floor in both in dynasty and just like for an NFL team where I can't see him being any worse than like a good number 3 receiver. And I think he can be a 1B.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah, to like a big, more physical receiver on the other side. So I talked up his route running, so I think we can
I've seen a few people call or comp him to Adam Thielen. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I can see that for sure. He's always going to get a white guy compared to him.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a pretty reasonable comparison. I think Thielen was maybe even a little bit. Thielen's was more physical, like in his prime.
Yeah.
Than Pearsall is, and probably Pearsall will ever be. But I don't think that's too far off. I think
especially in their route running ability, I can definitely see it.
Yeah, for sure. So first play here, I'll just let it run through. And
looks like he faked going outside, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does a really nice hip shift here. So he comes off the line with like a little bit of an outside stem. His defender has pretty heavy inside leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when your defender has inside leverage and you're trying to go outside, you need to get him to panic, go outside with you, abandon his leverage so that you can beat him inside. And a hip shift is a really good way to do that because, usually you're going to be responding to, as a corner, like you respond to the first move. Like if somebody grabs outside, then you're like, okay, they're going inside, or vice versa. So a hip shift is a little like you start with a step in the direction you're going, then give a fake to the outside and then back to the inside. So he goes 1, 2, 3, and it gets the corner completely off balance.
Yeah, he ate up that cushion pretty well too.
Yeah, the little RPO where the ball doesn't come to him, but
I was going to say it doesn't look like it did, right?
Yeah. I love at the end of the play the corner is not happy about how bad he got beat.
Yeah, I've noticed a few times, and a couple of these guys that we're going to watch tonight, they make defenders pretty mad. There's a couple different, I think at least 3 of the people we talk about tonight, there's been an upset DB at one point or another.
Yeah. And then here is another play where it's basically the same, like it's a deeper route, but he does the exact same move on the same corner and gets him again. This time the ball does come his way and he makes a nice catch downfield. just so smooth.
That was a nice contested catch too.
Yeah.
Which is not something I noticed him frequently winning. Like he won well. And I think his physicality is just not as great, but he wins it differently, I think, just with the athleticism portion of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think he has good like contested catch technique where he knows how to position his body, and he knows, he has good timing. He tracks the ball really well. I have a great clip for that a little bit later.
I mean, that's even good ball tracking there too.
Yeah, it's and good timing as well. Like he's not, he times his jump well. He's catching it at the top of his jump, and he knows that in this situation he has, like, the defender isn't right on him when he's about to catch it, so he's able to just body catch it and protect, like shield the defender with his rear there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a really nice catch from him. I love I've posted on Twitter about it a bunch, but his hip shifts are they're so
healthy. Yeah.
He's
now, question to you is, we're talking about his contested catch ability. Do you think he might struggle in that aspect of more physical corners?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's definitely not going to be like his calling card at the next level. I think he's good enough in that area to not like have it be
a detriment.
Right. Like he's good at making catches in tight coverage, like when he takes hits, or like when guys are, like that aren't necessarily considered like contested catches, but they're just like there's a defender right on him. And I think that's probably more important for a receiver like him.
Shield the defender with the moneymaker. Great strategy. Justin says. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. A couple more route running plays we've got here. I really like this route from him, where he is lined up in the slot there. He's running a corner route where first he ducks the contact from the slot defender, who's trying to like push him out toward the sideline. And this is an area he does need to get better at, I think, because he's not physical and the contact can't affect him. He's got to work on
fighting through it.
Well, fighting through it for sure, but also like he needs to get a little better at just avoiding it. Like it's something Malik Neighbors does really well, where he just like guys don't really get their hands on him because he avoids the contact so well. Pearsall does an okay job of it, but it's definitely an area he can improve.
That was a really nice. Yeah, I like that.
And what he does really well.
That was a really sharp break.
Yes. What he does really well here is, if you can, I mean, I don't know how easy it is to see, but you can see his face mask is pointing like inside
to the quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. When the DB sees that, he's like, oh, okay, that's where the route's going. If you're just faking like with your feet or with your lower body, it's not really going to sell anything. You got to fake your whole body. And he like this
never sells that he's going back out.
Yeah. This defender has no reason to think it's coming back out. And the break is so sharp.
He really gets his hips down there, down too, pretty well, it looks like.
Yeah. Again, ball does not come his way, but
yeah, I mean, you can't really depend on the quarterback play in Florida.
Yeah, I was a little pleasantly surprised with Mertz.
With Mertz, right?
Yeah, I mean he makes some really nice throws. He just makes some bad decisions. Misses stuff.
Are you worried about the 5-year not breakout, because he's obviously done it more than just 1 year, but the 5 years of being in college, being an older prospect? A lot of people seem to ding that on him.
Yeah.
That's not really something that bothers me. I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a valid concern, because he's never really like dominated like production wise, like the way you would think he should from watching his tape. And there's a few like reasons for that, but I do think it's being an older player, like from an NFL perspective, that doesn't really concern me. From a dynasty perspective, there's a little more worry there, because like if he had, people care so much about age in dynasty when it comes to trading players and everything. And, he'll be 24 pretty much like as soon as the season starts. And like when people will see, in year 2, they'll be like, oh, he's already 25. Like why,
Right.
like, as you know, that like that's not old by any means, but like that's just kind of how people act in Dynasty a little bit.
Tell you what, at 25, I wasn't doing this shit. So I will say for wide receivers, it doesn't really bother me that much. And we're comping him to, we just said Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen is in his 30s, still doing this at a highly productive level. I think wide receivers of that ilk, like I hate to say it, but like Adam Thielen, Hunter Renfrow, those kind of wide receivers seem to be able to stick around as like into an older age. Like I know Hunter Renfrow is a free agent right now, but his type of archetype seems to be able to stick around longer.
And I think I like that you brought up Hunter Renfrow, because I think that the difference between players like Adam Thielen and I think Ricky Pearsall and somebody like Hunter Renfrow is Renfro's a like 10 years ago, he probably would have been a really good slot receiver. But just the way offenses are now, teams are asking their slot receivers to go vertical a lot more than they ever used to. And that's not something Hunter Renfrow can do very well. He's just not a great athlete. He's not explosive down the field. Whereas Pearsall and Thielen and guys different. Think of like other slots in the NFL now, like Christian Kirk is a good example of that, like kind of small land. Yeah, definitely. Like honestly, I've heard Christian Kirk as a comparison for Pearsall a few times, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I kind of like that as well. I do like that.
Kind of that vertical slot that I can, like, when I picture Christian Kirk, I just picture him running a slot fade.
Yeah,
I think Pearsall will do well in that area. So, all right, this next one. What do we got here? I really like this route where he runs a double move, but then breaks it off. Again, Mertz just, I don't know, he's looking at him, but he doesn't. I guess this underneath defender is kind of the reason he probably doesn't throw that ball. But
they do seem to give him a lot of cushion.
Yeah, definitely in this game, he was getting a lot of cushion, and he dominated in this game.
What did I give him?
The break back to the football is so sharp.
Oh yeah,
and
let me see.
He's got the corner just on ice skates.
So I told you I'm doing my film reviews, film grades, and I gave him an 8.7 out of 10 for route running, which I think is strong.
Yeah,
I wanted to give him closer to a 9, but I tried not to get too excited.
Yeah, that's fair. What's going on? Yeah, no, I mean, what are your, for context, like some of the other top receivers in this class, what are their route running scores?
So him where is it? So Jalen McMillan, I gave an 8.9, which I think those two are very similar, like route running wise, not. But the highest rated route runner I have is another area we're going to talk about tonight, and that's Lad McConkey. And right behind him is Jamari Thrash. So those are my top 4 route runners right now.
Interesting. Okay. So you have lower route running grades on guys like Odunze and like the top?
Oh, no. I was just going, well, where did I didn't even think to look at them. I don't know why. So 8.5 for Odunze, 8.8 for Marv. Okay, so Marv is up there as well. I just, for whatever reason, just skipped right over their names because it's so easy to just say.
Yeah. I feel like talking about those guys at this point is like almost pointless.
Mm-hmm.
They've been talked to death. All right, so this is a route that I really like. It's pretty similar to the one I showed earlier where he was running the corner route and he peeks inside and then breaks back out.
Yeah, those sharp outside cuts are very impressive.
Yeah, and what I really like about this route is, so you can see how the defender reacts to it. So this underneath defender is the one that ends up kind of being
the shadow
responsible for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you can see Pearsall breaks in and the defender looks at him, sees that he's breaking in. Then the defender turns back to the quarterback and doesn't even see that Pearsall is now breaking the other way. And so just this peek that he does, like when he sees the peek inside, he's like, okay, I know where he's going. I can turn around and look at the quarterback now.
Right.
And
That's
then
a high IQ play for Pearsall too.
yeah. And then at the end of it here, I like how you can see him glance out to see where the safety was as he's coming towards the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And, he sees where the safety is, and then he brings his route like further to the sideline. And then the ball is a little bit behind him, and he makes a nice catch with the defender on him. You can see it better from this angle.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, this is kind of what I meant with the, tight coverage catches. Like, when you have hands in there and everything from the defender, it's not easy to make those types of catches. All right, so I will talk about. I mentioned his tracking earlier. I think that's one of
ball
his
tracking.
Yeah, and this is just so impressive.
So yeah, that's a really nice over the shoulder. I kind of like how he lulled the corner with the release a little bit.
Yeah, I will say coverage not good. Don't know what the cornerback is doing. He's got outside leverage, and Pearsall goes to the outside, and the corner just completely abandons his leverage immediately. I don't really know why, and just gives him that release to the outside.
I wonder if it's that kind of lull that made him think the ball's not coming that direction, or because it seems like Ricky almost kind of slowly comes off the line a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because when he comes off the line, the corner, when corners are playing that tight, a lot, you might be expecting press, and he doesn't get it. So what he's effectively doing here, and I've heard a quote from Davante Adams once saying that releases don't happen at the line of scrimmage. Necessarily, they happen in a 5-yard window. So Pearsall basically, he closes down this space and basically moves the line of scrimmage to where this is really where the release is happening, 3 yards down. 3 yards downfield, and then he just accelerates past what looks like a bigger defender. And then the tracking over the opposite shoulder like that is one of the hardest things to do as a receiver.
Oh, yeah.
And can't do it much better than that.
That's almost like a baseball player in the outfield. Yeah. That kind of ball tracking there. That's impressive.
Let's see any other play. Got a few. Oh well, I just have to show this because.
Is this the one-handed?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I knew. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's watched any of Ricky Pearsall, I'm sure has seen this, but I mean, it's just
that is filthy. And take the contact too, and still come down with it.
Yeah, I feel like I've never seen a one-handed catch like that where the guy gets lit up and still hangs onto the ball. It's just, I love the reaction, just stone cold.
Yeah, his head's got to be hurting too.
Yeah, and then he gets hit so hard, and then his offensive lineman comes run over and slaps him in the head. Yeah.
And I like how Graham Mertz is all excited, like he didn't just almost get his wide receiver decapitated with that throw.
Absolute hospital pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this I think shows you the athleticism.
Mm-hmm. That is impressive.
He's not just a little slot receiver.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I will show this to point out kind of what I was mentioning earlier about contact.
Justin says the reaction was stone cold because he was trying to figure out where he was for a second, which I could see it.
That's probably fair. All right, so this play is, I think he's trying to run a dig, I assume. I don't know. He's got this slot defender inside who's playing very far inside, so he's probably not worried about him, but he does come out and try to get hands on him, and he's able to get hands on Pearsall's chest, which is what you really want to avoid as a receiver. That's why you have that
because you get put off balance.
Yeah, you have that blade technique where you turn your back to the defender, so their hands go on your back and just kind of push you the way you're going rather than really interfering with your route. And he just can't really recover and gets completely pushed off his spot, and the play just kind of fizzled. Mertz is forced to check down.
Yeah, his physicality was something I wished was a little stronger. You know what I mean? Because he looks like he should be able to fight through that.
Yeah.
Or a different technique, because he shows different techniques throughout the whole thing you watch. but it seems like things like that he really struggles with.
Yeah, no, that is definitely his weakness, and I think that's why he has good like releases at the line of scrimmage, but I just don't see him ever being able to be like a full-time X because of the physicality. Like he's got the technique for, at least footwork wise. He doesn't so much have the best hand technique with releases, but that I think his home is probably going to be as a slot flanker hybrid.
Yeah, I could see that.
He's facing like if he's in one-on-one coverage, like off coverage, he's a nightmare to deal with. And then this is not the play I meant to pull up.
What do you think you think he's a second rounder?
Yeah, I mean that's where I would take him. I'd be
well, I mean in the NFL draft, dynasty probably, but
yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I specified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I think he's probably a second round pick in both the NFL and dynasty. I think when you draft a receiver in the first round, you're probably looking for a guy who like you feel good about his chances of being a wide receiver, like a legitimate wide receiver one for you going forward. And I don't necessarily know if Pearsall has that in him. I think he could produce like a wide receiver one in like a 1A, 1B type of situation, but I don't see him, getting past that. So I think second round is probably a good spot for him. And I'd be shocked if he fell out of day two.
Mm-hmm. I could see him in Carolina.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I really want him in Pittsburgh. That is my
yeah, I could see that too, to take over for Deontay Johnson essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then just the last playoff show is just kind of shows his awareness of sitting down his route against zone coverage as opposed to
running it right up the middle into the defender.
Yeah, and the way he comes back to his quarterback, like he's not just like a lot of times guys on plays like this will kind of stop and then like drift upfield a little bit. And he does a good job of like finishing friendly to his quarterback, like giving his quarterback a target.
Right.
And that's
that's one thing I really like. And one thing, so in my scores, I have dog mentality in there. And that is like one of the things I look for. Like, are you coming back for your quarterback? Are you trying to be an option for your quarterback when shit starts going south? You know what I mean? So that's part of the things I look for in that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's definitely a really important thing for a receiver. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much all the clips I pulled. I have this one as well. I don't know what this is, to be honest.
Just an extra one.
Yeah, we'll see. It's called Crosser versus Press.
That was a nice get off.
Yeah, I do. The thing for one, this is what I kind of meant, where like his release, he has a good release package. Like he has good footwork at the line. He does a good job of like, because this corner isn't right up on the line of scrimmage. He's, a couple yards off. So again, he does a good job of kind of moving the line of scrimmage, closing down that space, and then breaking outside. The one thing he could do is if you're gonna, he has outside leverage. The corner does.
Yeah.
And so to really threaten him out there, you need to probably extend. So see how his foot.
I was going to say he should come out a little wider, shouldn't he? A little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want ideally your foot to be outside the frame of the cornerback because that's when he feels threatened.
And that's when he'll turn his hips.
Yeah, the corner really has no reason to like be threatened to the outside just because he still has his leverage. With college DBs, they're not always very good.
To be honest, he played that pretty well, even though I still think that's a really good release, but the defender seems to have played it pretty well up until that last break there, I would say.
Really good break by Pearsall. That's the main reason I've saved this clip was I like how he breaks, like he takes that inside release and then he, at the top of the stem, he gets vertical again. And that like, at this point, he's pretty much like, you're probably thinking as a defender, like
he's going straight
corner route,
yeah,
like something like that. And then just that break is really sharp.
That was a nice, almost like a jab to the to the outside as well, right there.
Yeah. All right.
You want to go from one route runner to another? Go to Lad.
Sure. We can do that.
So this is why, like, I take into account film and stats and stuff like that. Because if you were to just go look at Lad McConkey's stats, you would be like, why the hell is this dude like generating like any kind of buzz?
Yeah.
I think it was last year 800 yards. This past year, just now, like 400 and some odd yards. But this dude just is a different type of route runner. I would say him and Pearsall are very close. I do have Lad just a little bit better, but I think they're both solid.
Yeah. I think they're pretty similar players. I don't know who I give the edge to with route running.
Maybe it's because I got to see more. So both of them were at the Senior Bowl, and both of them showed out pretty well. Obviously, Pearsall left early because he did well enough to kind of, I guess, raise his draft stock. Lad stayed the whole week, and I guess maybe that's why I give him the edge, because I got to see more, if that makes sense. And it was just all week of him just making defenders and himself at times fall.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's specifically in a Senior Bowl environment where it's like a situation that favors the receivers kind of already. A player like Lad it's the perfect environment for him, where he has those like two-way goes, is kind of the
double moves, stuff like that.
It's just really suits his skill set really well. So I was not surprised when he showed out there.
One thing I was surprised. Oh God, I'm sorry.
I'm realizing now that some of the clips that I saved, I did not put in Google Drive. So I might try and, while you're talking about him, grab those clips real quick. But
so I was kind of surprised when I looked at his PFF today again. Like, I looked at it recently, but I looked at it today because a lot of people want to peg him to a slot receiver, and I think that's primarily going to be what he is in the NFL, but he lined up 76% of the time out wide in college. So I don't think you can just peg him as a slot wide receiver. I think he's good enough to win on the outside. Now he's going to have to get a little bit more physical, but he's different to me.
I agree. I think beating press is not going to be his game. But
no.
As a flank, I guess similar to Pearsall, flanker slot hybrid, I like that.
The one thing I did notice down at the Senior Bowl is when he got into the red zone, like the goal line, maybe 10 yards in, is where he started to struggle as well, because that's when things get a little condensed and things get a little bit more chippy and physical. But I mean, you're not going to be perfect at everything.
Yeah.
Although unless you're Justin Jefferson, I guess. But he didn't come out immediately as, the 101.
Let's see here. All right. So did you want to assume route running is where we
can start with that. Yeah.
This one, I guess. I named this one for my own purposes Cooper Kupp.
I can. That's
not a player comparison, just this play. Every time I see a receiver do something like this, it always makes me think of Cooper Kupp, where he's the top of the screen there.
Oh, damn.
He makes the.
Yeah, it almost seems like the defender even tried to wrap on too.
Yeah.
Which is good because, again, physicality is not his strength, but if you're fighting through that, I mean, he had the defender off balance in the first place, but he still fought through a defender trying to wrap him up at the end of his route there.
Yeah. And it's that technique where he's going to the outside and the defender has like
outside leverage,
and they do sort of like a swim move over top of him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's Cooper Kupp does it all the time. He's the best at it. And it's a really, really effective technique.
Yeah, that was super impressive. I don't even remember seeing this play. I don't know. Maybe if it wasn't on what I've watched, but I don't remember seeing it. That's just clean there, to be honest with you.
He has so many of these types of plays off against or what, like on outbreaking routes. His outbreaking routes are so
Clean.
Good. All right. I think honestly probably most of these are going to be outbreaking routes. This is the same game.
I miss where he was on that one. I was reading the comments. Justin says, amazing prep for this show, fellas. We can't say fellas because AJ did a lot of the legwork for this, so give him the shout out for that. I just gave him, like a play or two that I liked from each player, and he kind of went above and beyond. So you got to give it to AJ on that one.
Thank you. Yeah. Although I did, like I just said, forget a couple of Vlad McConkey clips that I've had to scramble.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even be able to do this right now. So this is
another
falling again.
Yeah. Just the sharpness of the break. And something that, sorry to kind of hijack your player here, but just something.
No, you're good. You're much better at talking about this than I am. Like you and I go back and forth. To be fair, I'm still learning. So I'm getting better, I would say, but you're a lot more advanced in this than I am. So I appreciate even learning from you. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I think honest, just like we talked about this earlier, like the terminology aspect of things, it makes talking about these players, once you learn that kind of stuff, a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
You can like I remember when I first started doing this, like I would watch players and be like, I know that's a good route, but
yeah,
I couldn't really tell you why.
Yeah, that was me. That's still me sometimes. But then I'll like, I'll look at, like I sent you a couple clips today. I think like this looks good to me, but can you break it down to a little bit better? But yeah, I am working my ass off trying to get better. So I appreciate people like yourself and a couple others that are a little bit more advanced than I am.
Yeah, of course. So what I really like about this route is how
he breaks that off, and not a whole lot of rounding to it either.
Yeah, very sharp. What a lot of players will do in this situation, they will, once they get to the top of the route and they break it off, like see how he's just did his break and he's facing this way. Like if he were to keep going straight, he would drift upfield, but he does a really good job of, well, I guess he does for
straightening it out a little bit.
And then he comes parallel. Opposed to just like he knows how much space he has between, the defenders, and he settles in the right spot. Just the awareness of coverage, I think, is really, really good from him.
Yeah, he's just like, I do see the Cooper Cup comparisons, and that's scary. Like I put out a tweet a couple days ago that I would rather pass on Brian Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell, and somebody else and take Ladd. Because those guys I think are going to go before Ladd, and I would rather just either trade back, grab Ladd, or, even if I had to, take Ladd ahead of both of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't think that's unreasonable. Something I mentioned earlier is I think the reason I have a guy like A.D. Mitchell over him is that he does have that potential to be that true outside
alpha
number one that for an NFL team is just so valuable. From a dynasty perspective, though, I don't think it really matters like what role they play necessarily.
True. No, I can agree with that because I can see Ladd being a very consistent wide receiver 2 in fantasy football purposes.
Yeah.
Like your 12 to 20 range guy finish. Like I would take that in a heartbeat every single year just to know that I don't have to worry about the ebbs and flows.
Yeah. And I don't think it's like if think about players like a Wes Welker, who was
another white guy
player and also white. But Welker was more physical probably than.
Oh yeah. Welker was a bad man.
But it's that type of thing where he was that slot receiver, but because he was in the type of offense that he was in and he was with Brady, he was putting up a ridiculous number. I mean, I think he led the league in catches at least once or twice, led the league in yards, I think once. And yeah, this next play though. Also, disclaimer, Cooper Kupp is not my player comp for Ladd.
I mean, it's fair to a sense.
Cooper Kupp's like 6'3" or like 6'2", like 215.
My thing is like, here's my thing about comps. We're not saying that player is that player right now. That's the ceiling, right? I think that's fair to say that they have a very similar play style as to what Lad McConkey could be at his ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I don't mind it. Oh wow! Again, another outbreaker.
Yeah, I don't know if his reception perception
was
his outbreaking stuff was like his only bad route on the route tree was digs, where he's if he can get as good with in-breaking routes as he is on
which is odd because you're just going another direction.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know why that is actually.
I wonder if that has to do with the physicality and things being a little bit more condensed in the middle of the field.
That's very possible. But so with some of the specifics of this route that I like, so he dives the stem inside to attack the leverage of the DB because the DB is playing way off and has inside leverage. So he takes the stem inside to attack the leverage, which you like to see.
And he bites on it right away.
Then he straightens it out. So now he's taken away that inside leverage from the DB. Now he's breaking out, but if you're always like reacting to a defender's leverage in the same way, like smart corners will catch on. So you have to, vary things that you do in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gives like a little, I guess what you would call a pressure step inside there.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
He had inside leverage at the beginning of the play. So he's thinking, I don't want to get beat inside. So when that step happens, you can see he reacts and
starts taking a wide step out. Yeah.
Then he gives this hip shift to leave him in the dust. And he does a good job here of fighting off the contact too.
I was just about to say that too, because they both look like they pushed on each other a little slightly, which is good because it's, again, not something he's really known for. If he shows flashes of it, it means he can work on it.
Yeah, definitely. He's got, I think technique-wise, he's pretty good with fighting contact. It's just the side, like when he comes up
frame.
Yeah, if he comes up against a big physical corner, like that corner probably doesn't need the best technique to
play bully ball.
Yeah. All right, so I think I've uploaded those other clips. We will see. Okay, maybe not.
That's all right. We can go with what you have.
Yeah, oh well.
There was one route against Florida that I loved. Like, I think it was like almost like the first play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I sent you those ones from the Senior Bowl. It was just, Oregon's a good one to go up against because they have one or two corners coming out in the draft, I think. Second round.
Yeah. This was 2022.
Oh, okay.
But so this
Christian
one
Gonzalez, maybe.
Pulled, yeah, the clips that I pulled weren't like matched up. And this is just a little this is against zone coverage. And I just want to show the way you can see so the blitz will come from here from these two players. And he just settles in this zone where the blitzers came from. And then
nobody's there. Yeah.
He's aware of where the other defenders are, and the way he transitions after the catch is really, really good.
I do like his yak ability.
Yeah.
I think I had him down for 6 yards of yak, which is solid because I could turn a 4-yard, little hitch to a first down essentially. So it's nice to see. I think he's elusive when he has the ball in his hands, kind of like his route running.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's a little slippery.
Did
he fumble the end of this play?
He was down.
Okay.
I went back and checked the game log to see if they called it a.
Okay, yeah, the ball does look like it gets knocked out by the ground. So I got a little worried there for a second.
Yeah, but yeah, I like how he just knows that this defender is coming over,
and sidesteps.
Like he's already, as he's catching it, he's already coming in that direction to use the defender's momentum against him and just turns around him. Yeah, I think the strength of his yak ability is really in his transitions, just because of how aware he is of coverage, and he transitions from receiver to ball carrier very well.
Quickly, yeah. Almost like a running back, it seems like.
Yeah.
Certain running backs.
Right.
Not the bulldozing running backs with the ball in their head.
Yeah, no like Malachi Corley-esque abilities, but and then this is just a nice little clip to show some of that elusiveness in the open field. And not just elusiveness, but also like the contact balance.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
And then he almost beats the other one.
You got to finish that out. A fumble again on the ground.
Yeah, no fumble. But yeah,
gotta watch that though, because like, I mean, it's not a fumble, but like in the NFL, the defenders are higher caliber. Obviously, somebody's gonna punch that out.
Right. Yeah, it is probably not the best to reach the ball out the way that he does there. Like, this is no good. Mm-hmm. You only want to be reaching the ball out on fourth downs. And like,
or if you're a little bit closer than where the hell he is right now.
Yeah.
Because he looks like he tries to take off from the 5.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he was trying to juke inside, but then he gets cut down and just goes airborne and limbs flying everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. I want to find these clips because they're in my drive somewhere and they just won't appear. Here we go. Is this one of them? It is.
I did. You mentioned the Steelers earlier, by the way. The one article I did for Toilets and Titles where I played matchmaker with the wide receivers, I put Ladd in the Steelers uniform.
Okay. Yeah, I would.
You're the Steelers fan, correct? So I'm sure you'd be happy.
Yeah, I am. I think they just need like a separator who like with inside out flexibility.
With better hands too than what Deontay Johnson brought to the table.
Yeah.
Also fumbles too. And if I'm watching these fucking balls fly out, you got to watch that a little bit because Deontay did the same thing.
Yeah. What I've always said about Deontay is like he was always one of my favorite players. Like I watching him run routes is just Is
that a big thing for you? Because I've noticed like route running is probably one of your favorite things to talk about. Or like I know it's a big thing for you.
Yeah, it's just honestly like I think I've grown a little bit from when I first started doing this. I really like was kind of in the like drops don't matter camp, which I still feel to a certain believe to a certain extent, like we said with Puka Nacua leading the league in drops and all that. I don't think like concentration drops and just like that type of thing don't bother me at all, but hand technique and just like general receiving technique, I think is very important.
Because concentration drops are fixable.
Yeah. And like they just happen sometimes. Like there's no player that doesn't have a concentration drop every now and again, like
right,
with a few exceptions. So I don't know what this play is yet because I didn't name it, but yeah. So this is,
him getting vertical too.
Yeah, that is what I wanted to show with this, I believe. I think this is why a lot of people think he can be an outside receiver. I mean, he's not.
He's got a major steps on that DB. Yeah. And again, it's the jab to the outside that really sells it. The corner flips his hips a little bit to the outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the way he sort of at the top of this, so he's again attacking the leverage with his stem, where he's running straight at the defender as opposed to straight up the field.
Mm.
And then
eating up the cushion a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then right here at the end of the stem, he even bends the stem outside more and then gives that hard step outside to make the defender pause. And that's just enough time for him to accelerate past and ball is just overthrown.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if this is just a bad overthrown ball or maybe his ball tracking is not super efficient.
I think it's just overthrown.
Yeah, it does look okay. It does look like it's like 7 or 8 yards ahead of him.
Yeah.
And I believe this is 2023 3 or 4. That should be Carson Beck throwing that.
It's Carson Beck, I think.
Which I think a lot of people are high on for your 2025 drafts.
Yeah, I like him. I've been impressed with what I just from like watching college football. I'm a fan. Not really
it's just hard with Georgia,
yeah,
and their quarterbacks because like they don't produce a whole lot of high volume passing yards and stuff like that, receiving yards.
Definitely. And one more thing about this route that I just kind of want to point out. So I mentioned like attacking the leverage of the corner, and the other by widening this stem. Say this safety was playing as like a center fielder as opposed to like all the way on this side of the field. When you widen that stem and force the corner outside, it gives yourself more space between them and the other defender who's coming over.
Okay. Yeah, kind of bait both of them into that a little bit is what you're saying, essentially.
Which is a very important thing against zone coverage in particular.
Because that middle of the field, I don't think is going to be that open wide in the NFL.
Right.
This is Florida.
Yeah, their defense was a sieve this year.
Mess.
All right. Again, don't know what this is, but we're going to watch it.
This might be the play I was thinking of because it looks familiar. No, but still. And again, let me go back. So press man, again, something that you and I have talked about, or not super. Again, press. Like something that he really doesn't do well against. He's able to hand fight his way out of it, like with a swipe, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And takes off, which is nice. You almost use the defender's momentum against them a little bit.
Exactly. When you push off of them, like I not like a push off as an offensive pass interference, but like, a little swipe that does give you momentum going upfield.
See, I can get smart sometimes.
Yeah, no, I love it.
But yeah, that was a really nice route. And again, it's something that it's not his strong suit. So it's nice to see. It was a good release off the line against press.
Yeah, and I like what he just kind of he's very patient with this release. He closes down the space a little bit, and then waits for the DB to reach his hands out and then counters him. He's not, as a smaller guy, he's not like taking it to, a bigger corner, but he knows how to counter moves.
It was very smart on that one.
Yeah.
I think he has a couple in this game against press for Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he does. I think maybe the next clip is also. The other thing that he does well is, so a lot of guys, I think sometimes like when you take the outside release and you're running an outbreaking route, they'll tend to kind of bring the stem a little bit towards the outside.
Like kind of start fading that way and giving it away to the defender a little bit. Doesn't look like he does that at all in this. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and not just, for one, it gives away where you're breaking to the defender, and it also just gives yourself less space to work and your quarterback less space to put the ball into, because like you can see when he catches it, there's not a ton of space between him and the sideline.
Right.
He gets straight upfield, which it also freezes the defender for a second. Yeah, that's just.
And he's playing catch up at that point. Yeah.
And then the catch in tight coverage is very nice. You like to see that.
Yeah. A little bit of a body catch, but that's okay there, I think, in that situation. Yeah.
I think the times when body an issue is when you give as opposed to when you use your hands, you can reach out in front of your body, and
instead of giving the defender an opportunity to come in and
exactly. Yeah.
Jamari Thrash has a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of receivers do. Marvin Harrison Jr., I would say that is probably his biggest flaw, even if he doesn't have many of them.
Are you trying to spew your Malik Neighbors propaganda again?
Yeah, no, always. I do. I honestly don't like saying Malik Neighbors wide receiver one. They're just all.
Yeah, they're all
full wide receiver ones. I don't care who you take. I don't care what order you put them in.
It's like the Pokemon starters.
Yeah.
The 3 starters. As long as you don't pick Bulbasaur. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's really pretty much pick your poison with the top 3 guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, one more right here with Lad.
Yeah, that was another one where we said the dig route's breaking on the inside, and that's a nice finish to the play too.
So yeah, it's like a little, not exactly a dig, but like a crosser. I don't know how reception. I guess reception perception would chart this as a dig, right? Because
it does look like a dig to me, but again, I'm not the aficionado of this.
Yeah, I guess it is fair.
I could tell you what wrestling moves are, but I can't tell you I couldn't tell you if that was a dig for sure because it looks like it to me.
Yeah, no, well, either aside from this play though, like I've been thinking about that, like with reception perception is like drags and like crossing, like over routes, crossing routes. Like, how do they chart that? Like, do those just
the difference? Yeah,
like I don't either way. But yeah, so what I like about this route is when you're running like just kind of crosser dig type of thing, he does what I believe is called stair stepping the route, which is where honestly he could do it a little bit more even.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts inside, then he gets vertical again.
He's even facing his head towards behind the safety there too.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like. His face mask is facing behind the safety.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to point like you can see what I'm pointing to. That doesn't make any. I don't know why they're doing that. But yeah, it's a good, almost like a head fake too, a little bit.
Him and Ricky are the best at that of the non-elite receivers in this class. The head fakes and using their whole body to run routes.
Mm-hmm.
is
see, if you go back real quick.
Mm-hmm. Like to the head fake, you mean?
Yeah. His whole head is facing towards the back of the safety, essentially. Yeah. And that corner now thinks he's going to turn his body up. I would think anyway. I mean, that's what I would think if I was a defender. But I'm not athletic enough to play defense. So, yeah, he definitely sells that well and even takes a step in, and the defender's kind of in panic mode at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the way the defender reacts to it where he, right now he's facing that, like, the middle of the field. And then when he gives that step, he moves upfield more. Now he's more vertical. And then he has to recover again. And there's just so much separation there at the end of that route.
And then to finish that off, like with the de-acceleration to go back was nice.
And just like awareness of where
everybody is on the field.
Yeah. And he's excellent at using his defenders' momentum against them. Like it's the same thing as in that Oregon clip where he knows the defender is running full speed trying to catch up and he uses it against him.
Yeah, my ankles would have broke.
All right.
Are you going to go to Jermaine Burton?
I will. Oops.
This is somebody I haven't charted yet. So I've watched like 1 or 2 games, just like in passing, just kind of like watching. And I came away more impressed. And then his reception perception came out today, which was wild.
Matt Harmon has him as his wide receiver 4.
Oh, that might be a little spicy for the pepper on that one for me.
Just film rankings, not like.
Yeah. I think you and I talked off air about how, like, how I said I was charting mine, and and like the film grades and my actual rankings are going to be different, just because like AD Mitchell film grade is so high for me and like uncomfortably high. And I was like, I can't, like, I don't know. He's somebody I'm not really interested in dynasty purposes. If I end up being wrong on that one, shit, we're going to be wrong a lot when it comes to this.
No, it's definitely one of those things where you're like, you recognize the upside, but you're like, that's a chance that I'm going to let someone else take.
Mm-hmm. Like Quentin Johnson.
I will be that someone else with AD. I did not like Quentin Johnson.
No, I know. I wasn't comparing the two. They're much different.
Yeah. AD Mitchell does not look like he is solving differential equations when the ball is in the air, like Nelson does.
It's the thing is you got to get him to get to that ball in the air.
Yeah.
All right, where are we at? Okay, I see him now. Yeah,
I posted this clip on Twitter a little while back. This is a really good example, and this is something that I think as an evaluator I'm just really like learning about and starting to understand, and it's something that can be really hard to pick up on because it's very subtle. But I think something that's really important, the use of like changes in tempo when you're running routes. If you run your routes at one speed and it's just going to be easy for defenders to pick up on what's going on. You need to be changing your speeds. And like one of the best things you can do is accelerate into your breaks. And I think what he does that really well here, so you can see kind of right around a little before the 15, he gets a little more straight up and he slows down. Like he's right now, pads over his knees.
He's going, yeah.
And then now he's a little more straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like as a corner, you're like, okay, he's getting ready to make his break. Because like that's what inexperienced receivers will do to tip off their breaks as they come up and aren't running full speed anymore. Then he accelerates. He gives like a kind of a hard step inside right there and accelerates to make the corner think, okay, he's got like this is a fade.
He's going to the corner. Yeah.
And it's such a sharp break back.
That is a really sharp break. Like he almost took no extra steps coming out of that acceleration either.
Mm-hmm. Very clean footwork.
Yeah. Very clean. That is super impressive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's a reason he was a high recruit, went to Georgia, and there's a reason Alabama wanted him as a transfer.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a freaking crazy person.
Allegedly. Well,
there is video of him like punching.
Allegedly. No, I know. I've seen the videos. It's not great. I've heard things or I've seen things on Twitter, and again, we're in smoke screen season. That a lot of teams have them off hit their board, but we'll find out in a week.
Yeah.
As long as he ain't betting on games, you'll probably be all right.
Yeah, he's no Jonte Porter lifetime bet.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on?
Yeah, it looks like there's 2 games in this one. Or 2 plays in this one.
No, I was just messing up, accidentally switching between videos.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm a sucker for a good hip shift, and the ball does not come his way here, but I guess that's not really a hip shift, but
that was a clean break back to the inside.
Yeah. So I'd say the one difference is something he does not do here that we have seen a little more. Like I think if this were like Ladd or Pearsall, he would probably give a little heavier of
more of a sell.
Although I don't know, that's a pretty good. He doesn't do it as much with his head, but his upper body he definitely
his whole body is turned.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want because as a corner, like they're not looking at your feet, they're looking at your chest generally or like your shoulder.
Right, because that's a tip of where your body's going to go.
Right,
because you can change foot direction. Your chest is kind of hard to move.
Yes, and then quite the bold choice from Jalen Milroe here.
That's not shocking.
Yeah, there are some. Oh, don't worry. I've got some clips with some bad Jalen Milroe plays. And I will say the one thing I couldn't really get clips of just because of the film I had available to me is he's a really, really good. He's really tough over the middle and like takes hits really well.
I think did you post something earlier? Somebody did where he got smoked in the middle of the field and still hung on to it. Yeah. Somebody did earlier today. I couldn't remember who it was.
It was not me, but I think it goes with him being like a psychopath. He just like he doesn't care if he gets hit. He likes getting hit. He likes hitting people.
This dog mentality.
I was gonna say how do you grade somebody like this who, I mean, he's clearly got that dog mentality, but he is again like
I keep it all on the field with the dog mentality thing. Yeah, I stay safe on field dog mentality only.
Yeah, that's probably smart. All right, we've got I like this route a lot. So he's got
A lot of
facing
cushion.
big
He
cushion.
eats it up like fast. Like, what did he run in the 40?
I want to say he was in the low 4.4s.
That
I
makes
could-
sense. I'll look it up while you. Hold on.
Okay.
I feel like he was pretty high, like in the early 4.4s, like you said.
He might have even been like a 4.38 or something.
Let's see. 4.45. So mid. Still.
Yeah, I mean it's good enough. And well, that's another thing with him with like his production. He was used in a way where like his ADOT and his like yards per catch are insanely high because that's where Milroe's strength is, like by far, is
Is
just
deep fall. Yeah,
yeah,
deep ball.
deep sideline. So that's how they used him because he's their best receiver, and he's capable in that role. But that's just it's not really where he is at his best. He's really good in the intermediate and short areas.
Yeah, but when you don't have a quarterback that fits that, unfortunately.
Right. So here he's facing he's got outside leverage, very off coverage. And so normally, like what you would want to do just in general as a receiver is attack the leverage of the defender because
make them think you're going the way they're already facing.
Exactly. And you just want to you want to square them up.
Mm-hmm.
But in a situation like this, so if he were to attack his leverage here, the corner would get wider and wider, and like he just might not have the room to the sideline to really be able to do that. Like he would get taken so far wide that it would take him he'd be, instead of breaking like here, he'd be having to do the break from like out here, and this is already a really long developing route.
Yeah, it does look like it's a long route for where it is on the field, which is surprising.
Yeah. So instead, what he does is he attacks where he's not covering because even though he has outside leverage, like he's still got to cover you to the inside. So he dives the stem inside. Then when the corner goes to move with him, he gives a hard step outside to now take what was the defender's leverage. And now the defender's thinking like, I can't get beat to the outside. So then when he gives this hard step outside, he bites him. And the acceleration through the break is something that is really impressive, where he doesn't lose any speed when he's like turning the corner. It's something that Malik Neighbors is like he like gets faster when he changes directions. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jermaine Burton not quite as fast, but just the acceleration around.
I was gonna say it almost looks like he stays at one speed the whole time, which is impressive.
Yeah, I wish that I wanted this from the other angle too, because you kind of can't tell how much separation he has here. I mean, you can with like the shadows, honestly. But the other angle, unfortunately, didn't show it. But he does have separation to the inside there. And Milroe looks his way, but thinks about it. Decides not to throw it.
Sorry, one of my dogs had some input on that one.
Big Jermaine Burton fan?
Yeah. Seems like it. Let's see.
So this I saved because I don't think I've ever seen somebody run a dig like this.
Where did I don't know if I saw the mark.
I don't think there was one. He's at the top of the screen.
Yeah, the top of the screen. I figured.
So really, really hard.
Wow.
Outside.
That's hard. Yeah. Damn.
Really interesting. So I think normally, like, you would never see this because like it just takes too much time. But in this case, I assume he's like the last read because the whole play, like they're doing this like flood concept where like every single receiver is going to this other side and then Burton is crossing to the opposite side. So I assume he's like the last read.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why
that is like, I don't even know how to describe what that is exactly, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't either.
His entire body is facing the other way, like foot, chest, head, everything.
Yeah, the hip fluidity is crazy here. It looks like his whole body is facing that way, except for his left foot, I think, is facing like this way, which is the flexibility is just really impressive.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really learned these past few months about wide receivers is that you need clean hips, like a good hip dip, good change of direction in your hips. I've noticed like the people like Troy Franklin really struggle with dipping their hips a little bit. And I think that has to do with a little bit of his height, but and his lanky frame. But Jermaine Burton really does well with his hips. His hips lie, I'll tell you that much. He's not Shakira.
Shame Milroe doesn't throw him the ball here.
No, he takes off and run, which I get
it, because he's got a guy right on him, and that's a tough throw. Go in the other direction.
And it took, like you said, that's a really long route. Like,
yeah,
that takes too much time almost. Again, like you said, he's probably the last read for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason he would do that, because with every other receiver going to the other side of the field, like I can't imagine he's really in the progression. And then Milroe takes a shot. But all right. Now I've got some, these are like broadcast views of his like contested catch ability.
Yeah.
Really nice back shoulder.
That's good. It's a little bit of a push. He might get that called in the NFL, but it's a good, what's the word? Body control.
Yeah. I don't think it's pass interference.
The way he kind of extends his hands, I think the NFL, well, maybe not. I'd have to see it again. Looks like he extends a little bit. Although the corner does have like a full hand on his hip there.
Yeah.
His arms are extended, so maybe they would, but still, it's really nice body control.
Yeah. I think you can extend your arms. You just can't like
shove.
I think there's a difference between, like he almost, I don't know if this makes any sense, but it's less that he is moving his hands forward and more that he's moving his body back.
Than a push itself. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, and the ref's right there and they didn't throw it. So maybe I'm just overthinking it or nitpicking a little bit. But again, that's really nice body control. Goes up with his hands, tacks it at the last point. So.
And this is a route where he demonstrates a good thing here where you want to attack the blind spot of your defender, and like so the defender is looking inside at the quarterback, but he can see you in his peripheral vision, so he gets out wide as far as he can. Like at this point he probably can't see him, and he gives that hard break, and the defense, I mean,
yeah, that's over. Like that's that's filthy.
But yeah, like that, this wouldn't have, like, the reason he gets so much separation isn't necessarily because of how sharp the break is. The break is very sharp, but it's more just because the defender can't see him.
It's a high IQ on his part too.
Yeah.
Defender did him some favors on that one, but you still got to be smart enough to make that play happen.
Yeah. And then this is probably my favorite of the bunch and the worst Jalen Milroe play of the bunch. So I don't really know what is going on here with the actual route. He's just kind of standing there. But then.
Yeah, that. And then, yeah. That looks like a lot of Madden throws that I have.
Yeah. I mean, the defender just had broken ankles.
And that was good because it kind of almost seems like this play is about to start breaking down for the quarterback, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's good to get the defender off platform in the secondary. So if Milroe was to take off, he'd have a lot of space probably. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think when you're playing with a quarterback like Milroe, it's pretty safe to assume after a certain amount of time, like he's gonna bail from the pocket, just because that's more of like a 1 to 2 reads and then go kind of quarterback. And knowing how your quarterback reacts to things is really impressive or really important.
There's a nice little swipe at the end too.
Yep. the flexibility is just like, what is going on with his leg?
He almost looks like his whole body is touching the ground, like here. Like it looks like his knees on the ground going that. Like that's how low he got for this.
He's like breakdancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just he's honestly a nightmare to cover in single coverage if he's in space. Like it's really tough to stay with him. And the thing that he has over Pearsall and McConkey
is the explosiveness.
I was just gonna say his toughness at the catch point, like his contested catch ability and he survives contact so well. Like that, Pearsall and McConkey, they do it, pretty well for their size, but I think it's like a legitimate, plus part of Jermaine Burton's game.
Yeah, I'll say comparing to three of them, those two are much more smooth in their routes. He's much more explosive.
Yeah.
He's smooth but explosive.
Yeah, he's more of like the wild child.
Yeah. Yeah, which also
yeah, both on the field and off.
Yeah. Allegedly.
All right. We can I guess just last thoughts on Burton. I think like it's really hard. It's really hard with just the off the field stuff and like not knowing how that is gonna all go. And like he's such a talented player and has never really produced too much. So like the thought might be, if he was never taking advantage of his talent in college, will he in the NFL?
Right.
I feel like on the field, like when you're watching him, it looks like he can
just play at the next level.
Yeah, it was just a situational thing that was causing the lack of production. And apparently his coaches hate him. So
that's not good. But like, I mean, it's funny. A coach can hate you all you want, but as a person, but if you produce, they're going to give you as many chances as possible. I mean, look at Antonio Brown, for Christ's sake. Yeah. But I think he'd be a very good 2, maybe even 2B, like the mid-third, second option on a team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if everything between the ears is good, I think he can be as good as like any of the non-top 3 guys in this class.
I could agree. I could see that.
I could honestly see him being kind of like, these are not player comparisons, just like production and sort of like the way they get their production comparisons. Like the way that Amon-Ra is like the wide receiver 1, clearly he's like the number 1 target, but he's a slot receiver.
All right.
And like CD Lamb is the number 1 receiver and a slot receiver or like a slot flanker or whatever. Like I could see Burton being that like wide receiver 1 who is just not an X and like not a traditional wide receiver 1, but there's things in his way. And dynasty wise, I think I have him as like wide receiver 9 right now.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I definitely see the skill set to be in the top 10. I'm just going to have to really sit down and evaluate like everything. Because I think the film grade's probably going to be pretty good. But everything else is what's scary.
Yeah. And I think I forget if I said this during the show or before, but I'm going to let the NFL tell me how much, like how big of an issue it is. If he falls to the 5th, 6th round of the NFL draft, like, yeah, he's going to plummet in my rankings. But if he goes day 2, like he might.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. That'll be very interesting.
I mean, this is the most Steelers receiver ever. We always draft the crazy people. Receivers, Pickens, Claypool,
Antonio Brown,
Martavis Brown. I mean, even Deontay Johnson is kind of a weirdo. Like,
yeah, Juju.
Yeah, all the different type of weirdo, but
yeah,
for sure. All right, we can get into Javon Baker.
Yeah, it's my last guy here, and probably, to be honest, 1A, 1B in my favorite wide receiver of this class.
With Corley?
Okay, 1A, 1B, 1C. It's him, Rome, and Corley.
Okay, yeah. I feel like if I talk about my favorites, I'll leave out those top guys, but it's hard not to.
Yeah, I've always liked Rome, so it's like I've been wanting to see him. I think he could have came out last year and probably been a top 2 or 3 guy coming off the board, but I think he played his cards well, and he's going to end up being a top 10, 12 pick, which last year he probably would have been in the 20s.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Javon Baker, I want to say he's a day 2 pick. I think that for sure. I think 3rd round is the likely spot, but I definitely think he has a skill set to be a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Do you know Brandon Angelo? He's a fantasy guy.
Yeah.
Javon Baker, I believe, is his wide receiver 4.
Oh, that's high for me. Even he's my wide receiver 6 or 7.
Yeah, he said he has a 1st round grade on him.
Yeah, I've seen another person said that today. An evaluator said he had a 1st round talent. I mean, look, if that happens, you're going to see me doing backflips because I've been hyping this dude up since right before I got to the senior, maybe a week before the Senior Bowl, because I watched a highlight film because that's all you could really find at that point,
Right.
like highlight cut-ups of his. And I was like, okay, this dude's interesting. He kind of reminds me, and this is, believe it or not, this is how I think of him now watching even the full film, is a more polished George Pickens.
Okay.
I just see, the body control, the contested catch ability, but he's able to run routes a little bit better than I think George was coming out of college. I think George has improved since he's gotten into the NFL. But I think coming out of college, Javon Baker looks better to me. I will get into one thing real quick on him that really drives me up a wall is well, if he's that good, why did he transfer from Alabama? Like, okay, whatever. But if you think about it, his freshman year, he was not touching the field, right? You had Jalen Waddle, you had Devontae Smith, you had Najee Harris, you had pretty much all the weapons in the world possible on that team. No way, right? Next year, he has Jamison Williams, John Mechie, like, again, a 2nd round pick, an early 1st round pick. Could he have probably stayed for his junior year? Jermaine Burton didn't really produce his junior year either. He goes to UCF, and he tears it up in UCF. So I can't really hold that against him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't – normally I try to dig into the situations of, like, what was really going on, like, why did he transfer, what was going on, like, all that. And, like, I haven't really done that with Baker. I don't know what his story is. I mean, he was a 5-star recruit, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think, or he's either, because I've seen it both, where he's a 5-star recruit or he's like right on the edge of 4 and 5.
Okay. This 24/7 has him as a 4-star.
Yeah, and I've seen 5-star too, so I've gotten so confused how many stars this dude's got.
Oh yeah, different publications can give different.
But yeah, it's just, I really think it was just the amount of talent Alabama had his first 2 years, and he's like, all right, I'm going to transfer out. Like he has the pedigree, the 4/5-star recruit, whatever you want to call it. He did get accepted to Alabama, which, whether you want to say it or not, is high praise. And he went to UCF and he tore it up there. 900 yards, I believe. I forget. Double check it before I say that for sure.
Yeah, close to 1,000, I think is fair.
Well, no. Oh, no. 2022, almost 800, and then almost 1,200 in 2023. So this dude can ball, man. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was too low on him for a while. I hadn't really dug into him as much as I should have, and now I'm honestly, I think I'm pretty much just as high on him as you are. I just am also really high on a lot of other people.
I think that you want to say 6 to 12-ish range can kind of go any which way you want. That's how talented this class is, and I love it. Do you remember anything like this where we have this, there's not that huge of a drop off between 7 or 8 players or 6 players, whatever you want to say?
No, yes, I have not.
So this is against press.
Yeah, so I figured we'd start with what people I think know him to be good at, which is the contested catch stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is this the one down the sideline, I think?
Yeah, this, I guess, isn't so much a contested catch, but the
ball tracking.
Tracking, definitely. And the late hands is what I
Yeah.
read. So
So run that back just real quick. Stop it right there. So the corner doesn't even know that the ball's in the air at this point. He doesn't even know that it's in Javon Baker's hands until right there. That's how late his hands were, and he shows that a lot.
Yeah, just now is like right as he started to get his hands out, and the corner's like, "Oh, hands."
Yeah.
He starts to look back, and by the time he looks back, he's already caught it.
Which that is super impressive itself, and like the body control, because it's really close to the sideline there as well to keep himself in bounds.
Yeah,
and it's just good ball tracking there too.
Not just to keep him like body control, but like to fight through, because this is contact. Like he could very easily get pushed.
I've seen him get pushed out too, which is something I did notate. He does sometimes get pushed out of bounds, but not there. So it's just something I think he need. And with him, if he can just put these pieces together, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier, how there was some stuff with him where like I was just the way he does some of his releases, I'm just like confused by. It's like, then this is a good example of it where he's running this out like an outside go, but he takes like normally I feel like if you were taking an outside release here, you'd probably
fake to the end,
start inside, to give yourself more space. Because
I want to call it like he does kind of jab there. It looks like right there. So maybe he, and that what you were talking about earlier, that the release is 5 yards.
Yeah,
a little bit there.
Oh, definitely. But I just like he does this like almost every time where he doesn't. He'll fake outside to go inside, but he never really fakes inside to go outside. Where I feel like so to get to this point right here, where like this is really where the release is. Like could he have done that to the inside and gotten to, so instead of being here, he'd be like here at the numbers.
Okay.
And then when he goes outside, he would have so much more room. Because like this is a tough throw for your
quarterback to make.
There's no margin for error there. It's a phenomenal throw.
Yeah, which is not something you'll see too much in this film. And it's weird because like you could go between 3 or 4 games with him and you'll see 2 different quarterbacks in each one.
This is
I don't know if there's this is their starter. I know that, but if we'll probably get to another one, it'll be a different quarterback. I don't know if it's injuries or what, but like every game I watched, I felt like it was another quarterback in.
Well, you can see from this other angle the big old knee brace he's got on.
Oh yeah, now that you bring that up, yeah. But that is a really nice throw too.
Yeah, this is totally irrelevant, but he was a big recruit to Ole Miss.
Oh, was he?
And actually switched to receiver at Ole Miss, and then decided he wanted to play quarterback, so he transfers to UCF, and he's like a run first kind of quarterback. But
yeah, I could see that.
He's a solid college quarterback. I think this is the play that you were talking about.
Yeah, this is the body control, go up and grab it again. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so late, even kind of late with the hands there, even attacking the ball in the air. But I liked, again, the jab to the inside. The defender kind of bites on it. He still sticks with him, but it was enough to gain enough separation to the point where he's got a step or two. Like even if the white quarterback hits him in stride here, it's probably for 6, I would think.
Yeah. This is kind of, this time he bends this stem inside, so he does give himself more space. Like now, this time, there's more space to the sideline, like all of the space from the defender to the sideline for the quarterback to be able to throw that back shoulder. I like this route more. Yeah, also, subtle little like shoulder move here where the defender
inside shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, you see how he dips that inside shoulder and then kind of like sheds, I guess.
A little bit more physicality there too.
Yeah, he's a physical player. This is like almost identical to that Jermaine Burton catch that we just looked
at. Yeah. I really like his body control. That's the George Pickens-esque stuff that I see.
Yep. And okay, almost pretty much like the rest of the clips I got were route running because I feel like people know about the contested catches.
Mm-hmm.
People, I guess, bring up separation concerns.
Yeah, a lot of people say he can't run routes, and I kind of beg to differ on that. Not like he's not, I wouldn't say like elite by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he's solid.
Yeah, I think he's a great route runner, honestly. Like for somebody with his build, where he's like, he's a tall, long. Like usually guys who are built like this are like more just like linear athletes.
Mhm.
Like with Pickens, I feel like Pickens is more of a linear athlete. He's not, at least when he came out, like you said, he wasn't as smooth.
That was really smooth because it almost looks like he should have, to be honest, if his footwork wasn't as good, he should have tripped over that corner that's running straight across his face.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's a good
Like
point.
you have to keep your feet really close together to get not because that he should have tripped. I would think anyway. Let's run it real quick because this defender runs right across. Yeah,
Yeah, or if not trip, like you would. I'm surprised it didn't. It just didn't hinder his route at all.
which is impressive. Like that's not something I noticed before that I'm watching it again with you. That is really impressive to kind of like. I don't want to call it pacing because it almost seems like he slowed down just at the right time there to not fully run into that dude.
Yeah,
But that's
no,
impressive.
I think a really like an important kind of, it's not really a skill, but like things that are really important for all players and receivers, no exception, where like to be able to react instinctively and immediately to like things that you don't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's, like before this play, he's thinking about like what the, coverage is and what kind of route he's going to run or whatever. Like he's not expecting to have to avoid this defender, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's just
look, his foot. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, and then to get into like the nuance of the route, he quit. Like first, he dives the stem outside.
Mm-hmm.
Then
he bites on it.
Their bite, and he immediately accelerates inside to take the leverage that he wants. And now, like the route's over. Like he's already won at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's got complete inside leverage. Like all he needs is a decent break, and it's a very good break.
I will say it's a little rounded at the top there, in my opinion, but it's still clean. Well, maybe I'm nitpicking, but it looked a little rounded. Or no, you know what? Maybe it's because he's coming back for the ball.
I was going to say I think that might be
okay. Yeah,
and it's the way he does come back to the football is great here because you have this defender here. If he like just keeps bringing this across, he probably gets hit.
See, I even say he's my favorite wide receiver in the draft, and I'm even trying to nitpick something that's not there.
Yep. You got to look for the negatives, and then also after the catch, this is again, looks smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm convinced that I agree with your George Pickens thing, and watching him, he has. This is going to sound ridiculous, but George Pickens also wears the tall white
armband and the socks.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. He just like really like just aesthetically, he really looks like.
Just Pickens is a little tall. I like what is Pickens 6'4", 6'3", and Baker's 6.
Yeah,
I think Baker's 6'1" and a quarter or something like that.
Yeah, he plays bigger than that though. I think.
Oh, 100%. Let's see.
This is a really good reroute from him.
Is this the play breaking down?
Yeah. And as you will see, a different quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. It was a nice clean in breaking too. And again, get your quarterback's attention when the shit starts going south.
Mm-hmm. I was stuck. This was an unbelievable play by the quarterback. Look how early he throws this.
Yeah.
He throws this now, and he's like not even really open yet. That was a great play. But yeah, no, just the awareness of the fact that there is nobody in that area.
To go back towards that way. Yep, I agree.
He doesn't even look that way. He just kind of knows what the coverage is. He knows this defender
is following him.
Him. Well, I think this defender passes him off and puts his attention on the running back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He knows there's nobody back here.
Mm-hmm.
And he just immediately gets to the space, and it's a Great throw.
Now, there is one thing I remember on this play that I wish was different is it in the other view. I think the other view shows it. I don't know if this is just this view, I think.
Yeah, I don't have the other view of it.
So when he's running down the sideline, if I'm not mistaken, he kind of looks to see where the defender is coming from. So he kind of almost slows down a little bit. Like, I don't know if he would have made it any further than the way he did, but he does that every once in a while where he'll kind of look over his shoulder to see where the defender is coming when he's got kind of like a breakaway.
Yeah.
He does that every once in a while. Again, I don't think it's like huge because he's already got 40 yards on that play in general, and he might not have made it anyway.
Yeah, he's probably tired.
Yeah. I think this might be the Villanova route that I really like.
It is.
Yeah, it is. So press man, foot fire. He literally sells nothing that he's going to the corner.
Yeah.
Here. Like nothing, everything is straight away or to the middle because he looks like he even jabs to the middle there at the last second.
Yeah, and like with the stem, like just the direction he's running, like he's running to the middle. This looks like a big old crossing route or like a post.
A post, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because it even looks like he's about to take off that way and then completely changes direction. Corner's just toast at that point.
Yeah, I mean the route is over right here. He's got 2 yards of separation.
So he didn't even really need to go corner on that. He could have probably just kept running straight.
Yeah. And then it's a nice catch.
Good ball tracking. I just like in some of his routes, especially the really clean ones. This is a good view again. He almost gives no indication of where he's going.
Yeah. And like more on this route, like I think the way like as a receiver you have to think is like your corner. Like the defender is obviously trying, like the whole time they're thinking like, okay, what route are they running? So you have to sell like specific routes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to make like, and on this one, he does like, this is like, okay, this is a corner or a post. Like it very much like that is how you would run a post in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you take the outside leverage and then you would give like a move and break inside.
Yeah, that's just clean right there. And I love that it's against Villanova because I hate Villanova. They're not a Philly school. If anybody's listening.
Also not a football school.
No.
The tiny thing to nitpick here, ideally, when you catch this ball, you would want to, and he does this in another play, but if possible, you would want to catch and roll so you land not on the
so the ball doesn't get knocked out by the ground. Okay, I could agree with that. That's fair.
Very small thing, and I have seen on other plays him do that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think I'll real quick go back to the.
That's a fair nitpick. I could say that because, like, I even said it with Ladd. He's really got to be careful with that ball going to the ground. So,
yeah. On this one, I think he does do it, where he makes that catch there and he
rolls his body. Yeah, he's even starting to do it.
He actually like really uses his, I think, left hand to do it. Like
he's even starting to dip his left shoulder or right shoulder, whatever shoulder that is on the inside. He's even starting to roll it as he's going to the ground, it looks like.
Yeah, and he uses his left hand to brace his fall and turn as opposed to falling on the ball. So, yeah, he does do it, but he just didn't do it on that one play.
Might have just been the way he was going out for the ball that couldn't have done it. But,
yeah,
again.
And it takes a lot of body control.
Yeah, something that I do not have. Texas Tech, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, press man. I think he does really well against press.
I do too. I think he uses his hands really well. I actually, before this play, I do want to talk about his release in that last play.
The foot fire?
Yeah, like what's going on here? I feel like when I first was watching him, there were a few games in the season where he does this like a lot. It's like there's just so many moves. Like left, right, left, right, left.
It's like almost like an Iverson crossover.
Right. Yeah.
It does look like an AI crossover the way he does that. Like you could see like the ball almost transitioning this way.
Yeah. No, a lot of receivers, Devontae Adams does that a lot. He like really like, it looks like he's dribbling. He uses his hands. Like if you see the Dolphins, do like they practice basketball.
It's a drill.
Receivers.
Really?
They
I didn't know
play
that.
basketball and like it's like part of their warm up. I've seen them do it like on the sideline before games. Like they'll be doing. And Mike McDaniel's talked about it. It's super interesting. But yeah,
that is super interesting. I kind of like that though, because also it's like, the release package of doing that, and also like kind of like ball control a little bit.
Yeah, I think that McDaniel said they've like watched Allen Iverson and like Kyrie Irving film for the receivers, which is fascinating. So this time, very different release where he just
I like how he almost lets the defender come in and reach in and then sidesteps it, which is nice.
He reacts really quickly, swipes that hand away, and route is over at this point.
I will say the defender does like almost keep up or catch up to him on this. So that was a nice play, but it's a nice contested catch situation for Baker here.
Yeah. Well, I think that's almost probably by design from Javon Baker. Like I don't think he's trying to beat it. I think this is always going to be a back shoulder.
Okay, yeah, possibly.
When you have,
but I'm just saying the defender retreats well. It seems.
Yeah, no, he does. Yeah. When you have a back shoulder, like you don't want to beat them too badly. Like because if you do, then when you come back, they'll be like in perfect position. I wish I had this from the other angle, but yeah, no. And the body control, he's really good on these back shoulder contested catches.
I really would like to see him in Buffalo, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good fit.
I think we always want like our main guys to go to these perfect situations, but I feel like with these back shoulder throws and the ability to get vertical would be beneficial to Josh Allen.
Yeah, I agree.
I lost him here. Okay, I see it. Yep.
He is
right there. Yep. Again, foot fire.
Yeah.
Again, he's just. What's that?
Really quick. I can't even tell how many steps he's taking.
But it got us confused and it got the defender confused because it worked. And that's the thing. Like if it works for them and it continues to work, don't overthink it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think in this situation, like at the top of this route here, he's got the leverage that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
just selling it more.
Right. Like he doesn't have to sell like super hard outside or like do anything crazy. The chopping the feet is just, I would imagine, just to kind of freeze the defender and just give himself time to slow down so that he can then make the break inside.
Not much you can do after the catch on that one.
Yeah. And again, really good stem work here where he dives the stem right at the defender.
I like the way he does attack the defender too, like with the cushions and stuff like that. Like I think Ladd does that well. I think Ricky does that well. And I think Jermaine Burton does it well, just a little bit more aggressive than everybody else. Yeah,
he's not like running trying to close down space. He's like running at the defender trying to like hit him or something.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last thing I've got with Baker is just
is this the bowl game?
This screen pass where, again, the fluidity after the catch is something like you compared him to George Pickens. George Pickens doesn't do this kind of stuff after the catch, like the fluid movements where, like to me, this transition when he catches it, because this ball really should be like he shouldn't have to go
reach out for it.
And reach for it. It should be like at his right shoulder, really.
Because he could get depleted right there by the defender.
And he does a really good job of just sidestepping it. Like this is really smooth. And even this next cut, he doesn't actually make the guy miss, but he gets extra yards here just with that cut.
I do think it's an underrated thing that's brought up as his yak ability.
Yeah.
Or that's not brought up.
Yeah, I just think he's really well-rounded. He can play like pretty much all positions.
Yeah, because you see him in the X, you see him in the Y or the Z, more or less.
They use him.
I have seen him in the slot too.
Yeah, like a vertical slot option. Just like in the NFL now, when they move guys all over the place, like, it's having guys that can play all positions is super important.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
All right, that is all the clips I've got. We have been here for quite some time.
Yeah, but it was fun though.
Yeah, I love just like actually breaking down the nitty gritty of some of this stuff, because it's some of these things are they can be hard to. We can talk about these players all we want, but some of the really specific things it's hard to express without showing exactly what you're looking at, and like gives people a better idea. And then also just us watching film together, it helps us, learn from each other and be better evaluators.
Yeah, it's always good to get a second set of eyes on something. And like so that would have been the third time I watched McConkey. So I noticed some things differently this time. Second time I watched Pearsall, and 1.5 times I watched Burton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, rewatching guys, I don't think you can watch games just once. Like, it's a lot of work to go back, and sometimes it can be annoying because you're like, oh, I know this play. Like, I remember this. Like, I don't feel like watching these again.
Right.
Especially when you're watching things that they don't do well, and you're like,
Yeah, so we were talking about Xavier Legette earlier before we came on, and the first time I watched him, I was like, I'm not really interested, to be honest with you. Like, he's not great. But while the second time I watched him, I was like, okay, I kind of see something. And then I watched him again. I'm like, all right, like I see different now than I did. He's back on my board, I would say.
Yeah, he's an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, he's got really, really good, like the things that he's good at, he's really good at. It's just there's not very many of them, I think.
His route running is very. I mean, he runs routes like a guy who's only played wide receiver for 2 years, essentially.
Yeah, which, to be fair, he has only played wide receiver. He played quarterback in high school.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's only played wide receiver for, well, I guess 5 years now, but less than that, I would say, because the COVID year and everything like that ate into that a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, his whole story, like, it's hard to know like when to kind of make excuses for lack of production.
He had enough going on.
I mean, both of his parents passed away his freshman year, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. And then the motorcycle accident.
Right.
So he's had enough.
Yeah. And I've said this before, but like I think he's going to be in the NFL for like 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know how good he's going to, like, productive he's going to be.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not, because he's not as polished, but I could see the ceiling being Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, I've heard that as a comp.
Well, it might be the South Carolina thing, but
well, yeah, he's a little bit of Alshon Jeffrey, a little bit of Deebo Samuel.
Treylon Burks, I think, is another one I've heard.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, actually.
Does it?
That's probably the best one I've heard. I really did not like Burks coming out.
I liked Burks.
That makes sense. You like Legette more than I do.
Yeah, true.
I think Burks, injuries have hurt him a lot.
Yeah, I call him the Joel Embiid of the NFL, because like this dude, like I root for him and I love Embiid because I'm a Sixers fan and everything like that. But like this dude just has the most unlucky falls, like everything possible that could happen to Treylon Burks.
Fall hard.
What's that?
Big tree fall hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, yeah. Burks has had some bad injury luck, and then he also just being like horrendously misused in Tennessee.
Yeah, that was the thing I didn't understand. They never used him in the slot, and that's essentially what he played in college at Arkansas.
Yeah, he was lining up like in the backfield a bunch. Like they were using him in motion on the like little flat dump offs where he can get momentum and make guys break tackles. And then the Titans draft him, and they're like, "Oh, you're AJ Brown, actually."
Yeah,
so we're gonna have you and be on the line of scrimmage on everything.
That's got to be the most unfortunate thing for him, is like he's always going to be comped to AJ Brown because of the essential trade away AJ Brown to draft Treylon Burks.
Yeah, and that's like apparently how the Titans saw it. Like they saw him as the next, which I don't.
They played completely different.
Yeah, I don't get how they have similar things that they do well. But...
Yeah.
All right, I think.
We've
for far too long.
Thank you for everybody who hung in there with us as we nerded out a little bit over like our, I would say the 4 of these guys are kind of like our main guys. Like you've always been pumped up with Pearsall. I've always been pumped up with Baker. I've really come around a lot of McConkey because that was somebody I watched in the beginning and that I didn't really like pay attention to too much, and you caught my eye again. And Jermaine Burton is another one for you as well. So, we're excited about these guys.
Yeah, very excited. I would totally do more of these. Like we could either next week or like even after the draft. We can.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially when we have like a landing spot and like a potential fit, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we can we won't know for sure, but we can at least start talking about what role we think they'll have.
Mm-hmm. What kind of production they could have.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, guys, we're kind of we're breaking down what we're going to do next right in front of you guys, but yeah, I mean that would be interesting what their production could look like. If somebody ends up in Houston, that could not be the best spot for some of these wide receivers because I saw Javon Baker had a meeting with the Houston Texans, and I wouldn't love that so much right now.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah. I haven't seen. Has Pearsall interviewed anywhere?
I don't know. I never really pay attention to that stuff. I don't know why. I guess I probably should.
It just seems to always pop up when I'm scrolling Twitter. Like, X player had visits at this place, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let me go look at more of these. And then I forget.
Yeah, that's true. I see it with quarterbacks a lot.
Mm-hmm. I saw
Daniel's drama.
Yeah, I saw it was, I don't know if it was New England or Minnesota that had like the 3 of the quarterbacks out together.
It was the Commanders.
Was it the Commanders? That's so odd. Like this is not The Bachelor, guys. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's funny. They and then Jaden Daniels' agent was like, came out and said like this was dumb.
Yeah, I would have been so pissed. Like this is like we're not giving out roses here, guys. Like I want to have a face-to-face interview with you. You know what I mean? I guess maybe that's like to get them uncomfortable, possibly. Like you have your competitions in the room with you.
Yeah, I hope they didn't tell any of them that that's what was happening. And they're like, wait.
When your exes show up at the same store, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that's funny. All right. I think we'll call it. We are 1 week from the draft. I'm so excited.
Thank God. Yeah.
All right. And we'll be doing live some Toilets to Titles people. We'll be doing draft day.
I think you're a part of it as well, right?
Think so.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you next time.
Later.